listeners. Welcome to a brand new episode of Never Seen It. My name is Betsy, and with me, as per usual, it's Trent.
Usually I'm here.
You are always here as it happens.
You just said usually.
Okay, so I'm being facetious. Anywho, it is a brand new month, and so we are moving on from our month of big movies in Big Movie May. Now we're shifting to movies that we don't have a snappy name for this series, but they are all female-led movies. In some cases, the movies will be directed by women, but all of these movies are starring women at the forefront.
Lady-centric.
Lady-centric films. And we are beginning our 5-movie series with a movie that I have seen, but Trent has never watched. We are watching from 1991, Thelma and Louise. Trent, this is another one that kind of feels like at some point you should probably have seen this, but just hasn't happened for you yet.
Yep.
So what do you know about Thelma and Louise?
I know it feels like it should be an 80s movie, and it's really not.
It's really not. I was looking it up to confirm when this came out, and I definitely thought this was like 88, 89.
Yeah.
But no, 1991 this came out.
Yeah, and this is a movie that has been, parodied to hell. It has been, there are references to Thelma and Louise in a lot of other media, so it's just kind of in the lexicon, so I feel like I already know it before even watching it, but I know I've never seen anything in the movie. But of course, the stuff that I actually know, it is Susan Sarandon and Gina Davis, two people. Surprisingly, we've actually covered movies with them in there.
Yeah, you were saying before we started recording, I don't think we've done a Susan Sarandon. I was like, no, we did, because we did Speed Racer and she was in that.
And I pointed out that, we did The Fly with Gina Davis. So we've covered movies with them before, but I have no idea who else is in this movie. Really, other than its concept where it is these two women kind of on the run. The basis of knowledge that I have is a Simpsons episode. And I'm sure you can believe that.
Of course it is. When in doubt, if Trent knows something about a movie, it is probably because of The
Simpsons referenced it or made an entire episode about it.
And that would have been early Simpsons.
Yeah, and in this case, it would be Marge and a woman who moves to their block, a divorcee. I don't think she has any children. And Marge and her team up and go on a spree of just having fun. And by the end, it turns into a high-speed chase.
Is it my imagination or is that actually voiced by Susan Sarandon? Somewhere in my brain, I think she was on an episode of The Simpsons.
Probably.
But we'd have to look this up.
Everybody's been on The Simpsons.
Over time, eventually, everyone ends up on The Simpsons.
I don't know if they would have gone that far because that is actually a recurring character. So I don't think so.
Well, we'll have to look that up when we stop recording.
Either way, I know by the end of it, they drive off a cliff. In the episode and in the movie. I know that much.
They do it in the show? But Marge doesn't die.
No, because they land on the Springfield landfill.
Of course they do. Okay, then.
Yeah. So other than that, how they get there, I mean, sorry for spoilers of the ending of this movie before I even see it, but other than that, I have no idea how they get there. I assume that this is two women who are in relationships that they say, fuck their husbands. We're not going to deal with these men anymore, and we're going to go off and have a great time. Or they're on a crime spree and they're about to be caught. I honestly do not know.
Well, I can't really fill in the gaps much more than you can because I've actually only seen this movie once. And I also don't remember that much about it.
All right.
Like you were saying before, you're like, they're called Thelma and Louise. Which one is which? And I said, I honestly don't know.
Yep.
That is how little I am familiar with this movie, which is also weird for me. You'd think that I would have seen this, but it's just one of those movies that I think if you are of a certain age, if you didn't have somebody show this movie to you, everybody is just discovering it on their own much, much later than they probably should have.
Yeah, this movie is not made for our generation, for sure.
No, I didn't benefit from having I have a cool older sister, but she wasn't 10 years older who's like, here's all the cool shit you should be knowing.
Yeah, giving you cigarettes to smoke.
She wasn't like that. So we didn't have somebody in my life that was introducing me to stuff like this so that I could be ahead of the curve. I think I saw this when I was I don't know, 25, 26, something like that. And clearly it didn't have that big an impact on me. But I also watch movies really differently now than I did in those days and try to actually appreciate them versus just watching them in the background, which I probably did, which is why I probably don't remember this. But all that being said, is there anything else you can tell the listeners that you think you know about this movie?
Nothing.
Well, perfect. Then we're going to go and watch it. We're going to see Thelma and Louise, and we'll be right back. And we're back. That was Thelma and Louise. That was Trent's very first watch of this movie. What did you think of that one?
That was really fun.
I could tell you were enjoying it because you were sitting there going, oh yeah, fuck yeah.
Yeah.
So I'm like, yeah, I think Trent likes this one.
It's really fun. You could call this is just a road trip movie.
It is a lot of things. It is a road trip movie. It is a straight up Western.
Yeah.
Like I would call this a Western. It is very reminiscent of outlaw movies from like the Wild West, like cowboys on the run kind of a thing.
Mm-hmm. It's also got a lot of the gender reversal stuff where, you know, the trope of a lot of movies where it's a bunch of dudes getting together to go have a night on the town and they're going to pick up women and they're going to get drunk and they're just going to have a grand old time. But in this case, it's the ladies doing all the fun stuff.
Yeah. It starts off innocently enough. It's just two friends who are going to go and have a weekend away together.
Yeah.
And things escalate very quickly. And by the end of the movie, these two are wanted for murder and for armed robbery.
Amongst a lot of other things.
Amongst a lot of other events that happen along the way. And this is like the week of their lives. And as it happens, spoiler alert, it's the last week of their lives.
Or is it?
I'm pretty sure
We're gonna get to that question later.
I will tell you, I also really enjoyed this watch. Like, I don't know what it was, if I was just in the wrong mindset. You know, sometimes you watch a movie and it just doesn't click with you because you're in a mood or something.
Or it could be you just weren't old enough yet. And you haven't had those life experiences that maybe get you a little bit jaded. And you know what? It's good to just get out there and not give a fuck about anything back home.
Yeah, let your freak flag fly.
Yeah.
That is what happens in this movie. But this time I enjoyed this a lot more. Yeah, these two women are owning their situation. They're really good friends to each other. And then when they decide to go out with a bang, they go out with a fucking bang. They're like, you know what? They kicked the door open to their own lives and their own like freedom. And they said, you know what? Keep going. Yeah. Let's keep going.
You said that even when one of them is feeling down or like something bad happened to them in this journey, some kind of setback, the other one picks the other one up.
Yeah. So like at the beginning, of course, Thelma gets attacked and Louise says, come with me. I've got this. I'm taking control of the situation. It's all going to be okay. And then later on, when all their money gets stolen and Louise is having a breakdown, Thelma suddenly says, nope, stand up, get out in the car.
It's fine.
It's fine. I'm going to figure it out. And then she, knocks over a gas station.
Well, she got inspired by him.
Yeah.
And it just kind of trades off for the rest of the movie.
But then they find themselves by the end, they're like teammates. They are in this together. They don't care what happens tomorrow because they're living like there is no tomorrow. And it's fucking inspiring. And you can see why people like saw this movie and it became a smash hit. They were like, yes, I want to live my life like there's no tomorrow, like Thelma and Louise. I want to grab my best friend, drop the top of the convertible and just drive.
Yeah. Don't worry about boyfriends or husbands or kids or anything.
Jobs or anything else.
It doesn't matter. Just go out and have a good time, no matter what that happens to be. Like they were going to go off and have this long weekend at this cabin somewhere. They brought their fishing gear. They don't know how to fish. They brought half of their wardrobe. They don't really need it. They want to get away. It doesn't matter what they're doing. They just want to get away from their lives. And that's fine. There's nothing wrong with that.
Yeah, it's interesting how this movie starts and they don't have much of a plan. Like they really don't. For this weekend away, they're just like, let's just get away from our lives. And that's just like scratching the surface of how the rest of the movie proceeds. Like it's totally innocent when they're just like, I don't know, if my idiot husband can learn how to fish, then we can learn how to fish. It's not a big deal. But they take that same mentality and it expands to, I'll call my boyfriend and he's going to get me money and we're going to stay off the main roads because we don't want to draw attention to ourselves. It's dangerous on the interstate. And then when the going gets rough, they just start robbing banks, or not banks, but, they start committing armed robbery.
Sure.
Why? Because we needed the money. It's totally rational. There's nothing more to it than that. It's, we need it, so I did it. So fucking drive. And they just keep letting themselves kind of be led by each other and by whatever whim comes over them next. When they find themselves pulled over by a cop because they're going 110 miles an hour down this back road, yeah, you're going to get pulled over. Thelma fucking pulls a gun on a cop and keeps apologizing profusely.
Both of them do.
Like, I am so sorry for this, but we really can't have you stop us.
Excuse me. I'm just gonna grab this gun away from you.
Sorry again.
Sorry.
So sorry.
Sorry.
Get in the trunk. I'm so sorry.
And meanwhile, the cop is just like starting to cry, saying, I have a wife and kids. And Gina Davis says, well, you better treat him well because look how I turned out because my man didn't treat me right.
Sweet. Treat him sweet.
Excuse
because
me.
my husband didn't treat me sweet and look how I turned out.
Yeah, and the attitudes that these two ladies have throughout this entire thing, none of it is ever malicious except towards, the people who actually wrong them.
Well, that's something that's interesting about this is there are a couple people who genuinely wrong them and they get what's coming to them, sort of. Like, did Harlan deserve to get his ass shot? Kind of. But also, she definitely shouldn't have shot that man because she just made a decision. Like, they set up very clearly, she is protecting her friend. They are walking away, and it's not until he provokes her that she says, fuck this guy, and she shoots him.
Yeah.
Like, she definitely did that.
Yes,
now,
and shot him in the chest. There's a difference here because
she could have shot him in a leg.
Later on in the movie, we discover, oh, actually, she's a really good shot. So I don't think that she would have missed if she shot at his leg.
Yeah, and there is some rationale here. Like, they're the only ones in the parking lot. There are no witnesses to this. Could they have gone to the cops? Would it have gone differently? Now, I know you reacted to this part of the movie where they're driving away from the crime and Thelma wants to go to the police and Louise says, no, they're not going to believe us. We can't prove anything. It's a terrible idea. So what were you thinking in that moment? Because I know you were kind of reacting to that.
So when they were walking away, they were trying to rationalize, or maybe not rationalize, but they were trying to game it out in their head about, okay, everybody in that bar saw Thelma and this dude just dancing cheek to cheek, like they say.
Getting handsy, as it were.
Getting very friendly. And people saw him go outside, and you know what that's going to mean. And everybody knows that this guy has a reputation.
Mm-hmm. Everyone in the bar.
About getting very handsy with women. And, sometimes that's just fine. Because the women are into it, he's into it. Nothing wrong with that. It's when you say no to the guy and he doesn't stop. That's where he crosses a line, obviously. But the reaction that they have as they're walking away after shooting the guy, they say, yeah, I was just in there dancing with him the entire night. Nobody's going to believe that this other thing happened. Nobody's going to believe that I didn't want it.
That I wasn't asking for it.
Exactly. And in 1990, whatever this movie came out, that was a very prevalent thing. It's still a prevalent thing.
Yeah, the fact that over 30 years later, you can watch this movie and that argument is still relevant.
Absolutely.
You can watch this movie in 2024 and say, why would we go to the cops? No one will believe me. That's fucked up.
Yeah.
That 30 plus years later, their rationale still stands. of all the things in this movie, that's really fucked up. So they just decide we can't go to the police, but I'm going to figure this out. And Louise's brilliant plan is simply, we're going to Mexico. That's it. And that is where I'm drawing this thing about like Westerns, like old Westerns, the guys who were, robbing stagecoaches and things. If you watch movies like John Wayne shit, he was always the hero, but there's always somebody like this in the movie. The outlaws who were like, we're going to go to Mexico and nobody's going to catch us and we're going to be free. And they're, robbing stagecoaches and they're robbing banks and they're taking people's payroll.
Yeah. And none of it is ever a completely rational argument that they're telling themselves or other people. It's always, what do we do to get to the next thing? How do we make it to the next day? And at any time, the law is going to come over the horizon and bust you or shoot you in the old days. So that's the mentality here of these two women. At any time, somebody is going to bust them, and we just need to get to the next stop, get to the next day.
Overcome this obstacle, get beyond this hurdle, the next thing.
And if we have to rob a liquor store, if we have to rob a gas station, well, then so be it. We need money more than they do.
Yeah. And of course, Thelma sort of takes to this life. She's just
she says by the end, man, I'm just kind of a natural at this. She's very calm. She goes up to the cop in a very calm voice. I'm going to need you to turn the car off. Give me your keys. Step out of the car because you can't be arresting us right now.
I'm very sorry about this, officer, but get in the trunk.
And when they get the truck driver to pull over because, hey, they're going to have some happy times.
That's what he thinks
anyway. Very calmly, they just say, you're not a very nice person, are you? You're very rude. All of these different gestures that you have been throwing at us this entire time we've been around you, you need to apologize. And he's like, no, I'll never apologize. What is that character? He's just a fucking moron.
He's a lot.
He's a lot. But he's just, I'm never going to apologize. I'm going to be a fucking bitch. And then they pull out the guns and start threatening him that way. And he still doesn't apologize. And then they start shooting his truck tires. And then they start shooting the truck in general. And it blows the fuck up.
Yeah, because tough guys.
Not expecting that.
Trent, tough guys walk away from explosions. And in this movie, Thelma and Louise are the tough guys.
They're the badass bitches who drive away from explosions.
Right. And like you said before, the bad guys, quote unquote, they kind of get what's coming to them. So Harland at the beginning gets shot.
Yes.
This guy gets his truck blown up.
Yep.
But there are some standouts. So like Harvey Keitel's character, he's the detective who's like trying to bring him in for questioning. He has found out enough about this situation that he's like, I don't think these women did it, but they've got to come in for questioning. That's the whole reason the cops are after them.
They got nothing on them on the murder.
There is no evidence. There's no cameras out in the parking lot. This is 1991.
Sure.
Nobody saw anything.
The only evidence that they find is the fingerprints on the trunk of that car that he put her on.
Yeah. And then they've got a witness basically, and that's the waitress who served their table. And even she says, no, they were like the best tippers and they were so nice. And those women didn't kill anybody. So this is this is the beginning of it where the waitress tells Harvey Keitel this. Mm-hmm. He believes the whole movie that these two didn't do anything wrong, but they got to come in for questioning. But the number of people in this movie who are on their side the whole time that they are outlaws on the run, it's a lot of people. Everybody is like, I don't think they did it. I don't think they're bad people. And that's kind of a different take on this sort of a story. Because usually you assume they're guilty and you've got to catch the bad guys. But pretty much everybody who's after them is like, I don't really think we need to be that concerned about their actual guilt.
Yeah, because you can bring in, character witnesses like you would at a trial and just say, yeah, no, this gal works at a diner and I don't know what this other girl does.
She's a housewife.
She seems like she's just a housewife. Yeah, her husband sucks. Like the story about, the husband gave her a gun for a birthday present, but she's never touched the thing.
She doesn't know how to use a gun and she's afraid of it, frankly.
Probably.
Like when they first show her handling it, she's like,
like
pinching
like it's a dead mouse.
Yeah, like holding it by the tail, as it were. Like, can you please take this?
I brought it just in case because we're going to a strange place And yeah.
Yeah. Well, and you even said when she produces the gun, it's like, well, somebody's got to fire the gun now. Those are the rules of movie making.
Chekhov's gun. It's going to be used in some fashion. But I did not expect it to be like that. I knew that Thelma and Louise was a story about two women on the run, and I had no idea how we got there. The establishment of what they did completely makes sense. Them starting off at this trucker bar, getting hit on by this guy, and the guy doesn't leave her alone and fucking attacks her. Louise coming to the rescue. Boom, boom, you're dead. And guess what? We're on the run for the rest of our lives.
Right. But this is what I was kind of getting at is everybody who is after them is presuming them to be innocent up until, Thelma robs the store.
Well, a couple of people are, yeah.
But they are acting very guilty. Like, they are so guilt-ridden themselves where they're just like, no, we definitely did it and we have to be on the run and this is our lifestyle. And they don't believe that anybody believes they're innocent. It's kind of turning it on its head. Like, normally people who are on the run, like in The Fugitive, he's on the run because he didn't kill his wife, but the cop is after him because he thinks he did. In this movie, they're on the run because they definitely killed that guy, but no one believes they did.
Yeah, you're right.
It's completely backwards.
Yeah, I think the Harvey Keitel guy is literally just trying to get them to come in. He probably is being honest here by saying, yeah, you're not like a suspect here. There's no like arrest warrant for murder. We're just wanting you for questioning.
And you keep running.
However, the longer you're out there and the longer you're trying to avoid us, it kind of seems like you're on the run for murder. So we get this wiretap on your phone at home while your husband is around so that he can take the call, even though you two are on the outs. And this is really the only way that they could possibly catch you. They are completely home free. If they just kept on going and they didn't contact anybody and they didn't get a wiretap on them and they didn't, pick up Brad Pitt and fuck him in a hotel room.
They don't have credit cards. They're paying for cash everywhere. Apart from, showing up on security footage when you occasionally commit a crime.
Sure.
You're right. Again, 1991, baby. We're in like the fucking desert. And they say
very analog.
Explicitly they are on the back roads. They are not taking the interstate, which is why this is such a Western feel, because they are going through podunk nowhere.
Also, they're going a completely backwards route.
Up and down and left and right.
They're not going to Texas. You have any idea how fucking long the border is in Texas of Mexico? So they go all the way over the top of Texas,
through the Panhandle,
Oklahoma, through New Mexico. I think they even make it to Arizona.
Yeah, they did. At the end of the movie, the cops are from Arizona.
Yeah, so they make it all the way to Arizona to try to cross the border over there. That is way off the beaten path.
Yeah, they cover a lot of ground. And you're right. This is such a massive part of the country. Most of it is deserts. They're taking the back roads. How could they possibly be found? Except that there is some part of them that still wants to check in. They still want to know, are we in trouble? Is it safe? Right. And the only way to do that is to call her idiot husband.
Yeah.
And very quickly, like, that's a fantastic scene where they say, okay, you're going to call your husband because we're going to know if the phones are tapped. Just get him talking.
Yeah, just based on how he answers the phone.
Because he's so mean to her all the time. When he picks up the phone and goes, hello.
Hello.
It's so out of character. She hangs the phone up on him and says, he knows.
Yeah.
But if they weren't doing that, they could have already been in Mexico. Even going around Texas. You're right. That is an obscenely far way to get around the state of Texas just to avoid going somewhere that has traumatic memories for you.
Right. And they do not, and I don't know if we want to cover this now, but they do not address what her deal is. Even Harvey Keitel brings it up when the last time they're on the phone together. He says, I know why you're running. I know what happened to you in Texas. And that's when Thelma comes over and hangs up the phone. Like, no, you're not going to talk to him anymore. They're not going to find out where you are. But of course, that's actually where they can trace it to.
Yeah, they are on the phone long enough that they pinpoint where they are.
Well,
and now their search area is much smaller.
It's true, but that's a weird, stupid movie trope about, oh, you need to keep them on the phone so that we can get the trace going. They know exactly. Even in 1990, whatever, they know exactly where you are.
Yeah, I don't know how that works. I'm not smart enough to understand phone tapping.
It's a movie trope.
When you call, they can identify where the call is coming from. It's coming from inside the house.
No, they can trace it as long as you are not like forwarding it through. You remember the movie Phone Booth?
Yeah, you've talked
that.
about that before.
If Phone Booth is a really good movie. It's literally like an 80-minute movie. It's really great. Anyway, but in that movie, he call forwards through like 5 other different things, and by the time they get through all that spaghetti, then they can find him from there. But
in this movie, they could say
it's a direct line. You're calling your house.
Well, if it was a collect call, would that have made a difference?
Yeah, because they know exactly where that payphone is at.
Even though they're ricocheting through another service?
Yes.
Okay.
Because the payphone service has to know where it is.
Hey, remember payphones?
There's a lot of payphones in this movie.
That's all they use. No one has a cell phone. All right, we're bouncing all over the place. So let's take a quick break to reset, take a word from our sponsor, and we'll be right back. Patreon.com/neverseenapod. 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 Hi, we're Betsy and Trent, the incredibly beautiful and talented hosts of Never Seen It with Betsy and Trent. Due to a factory error, we are now overstocked on podcasts, and we are passing this deal on to you. For the low price of $5 a month, you can get Never Seen a Movie Club, Real Love, Box Set, The Wayback Machine, and so much more. So come on down to patreon.com/neverseenapod and claim these amazing deals today. So we haven't really talked about the people who are in this movie explicitly, how the performances are, etc. We've mentioned a few of the names of folks in here, obviously Gina Davis and Susan Sarandon as our leads. So a fun fact about this is this was a movie that came out, was a huge hit. Then, of course, come Oscar time, got nominated for a lot of Academy Awards, including both women getting nominated for Best Lead Actress.
Yeah, both leads. That is exceedingly rare.
And they also got dual billing on this movie. So the opening shot is Gina Davis, Susan Sarandon. It was equal billing right out the gate.
Yep.
And you're right. In most movies, when you have 2 women playing opposite each other like this, especially now, people like to play the game with the Academy of, well, we want them to win the award, so we'll put one of them in supporting.
Yeah, because they don't want the Academy to split the vote, as it were.
Yeah, they can't both win. But I love that they're both up for lead because they're doing the same amount of work.
Yeah.
They're co-leads of this movie every second of the movie.
They both have emotional arcs. They both have problems. They both go through a whole lot together, but they have their own performances. And I agree. Like, don't pussy out and try to separate them out and just say, oh, maybe we should put you in lead and you in supporting. How do you make that decision, number one?
Yeah, that's impossible.
And that just completely discounts the performance of the person that you put in supporting. Well, it sucks.
And even just since we've been doing this podcast, we've had a few movies where I'm like, okay, hold on a second. That person is the lead and this person is supporting. I think you got that backwards. But you did it that way because you wanted that other person to win an Academy Award. In this movie, unfortunately, neither of them won. I'd have to go back to see who actually was nominated in 1991.
Well, Jodie Foster won for this year for Silence of the Lambs.
Yeah, this was the Silence of the Lambs year.
Yeah, the only thing that this movie won was screenplay.
Which, good on it.
Yeah.
Because this is a great screenplay.
It is.
But independently of each other, Gina Davis, let's start with her.
All right.
I think she's awesome in this movie. And she plays so many different kinds of modes in this, I guess. Like, she's the meek housewife at the beginning who's afraid to ask her husband. First of all, she has to ask him.
Also, she doesn't ask him.
No, but she is definitely tiptoeing towards, like, I'm gonna pull myself up and I'm gonna ask him. But then she also knows he's gonna say no. So at the end of it, she just says, you know what? Screw it. I'm going.
She is going to catch hell from her husband no matter what she does. If she goes and doesn't ask permission, he's going to be mad. If she goes and does ask permission and he says no, he's going to be mad. Even if she asks him to go, he's going to be mad no matter what she does.
Yeah, because they got married when she was 18 years old. They were high school sweethearts.
Yeah.
And he is a garbage person.
Yeah, he is regional manager of this car dealership, Betsy. He's a really big deal.
Oh, and he's definitely cheating on her, right?
I did not get those vibes at all.
Okay, you remember when she leaves, she says, I left him a note and something to microwave. She calls him that night at 4 a.m. and he is not home. What the fuck is that guy doing out at 4 a.m.?
Selling cars, obviously.
No, that fucking asshole is definitely cheating on her.
Why the fuck would anybody want to be with him?
They do not explicitly say that, but I think it is implied.
Fucking Shooter McGavin, motherfucker.
Because she says, I called that asshole at 4 a.m. and he wasn't there. I'm the one who should be mad, not him at me.
Okay, yeah, I never got those vibes, but now that you're saying that, yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah. He's not coming out and like saying it. We're not getting enough evidence to support it, but there's enough evidence to say he is a terrible husband and he is up to something
he sucks.
He shouldn't be. And yeah, Christopher McDonald, best known as Shooter McGavin from Happy Gilmore, he is ridiculous in this movie.
Yep.
In a perfect way. He's got a goofy ass mustache and big hair and too much gold jewelry.
It was the 90s.
She gets hers later on because she finally gets him on the phone and tells him to go fuck himself because he says, you won't be home tomorrow night. You will be home today. Now, you don't want to know what's going to happen if you don't.
He's so much of a fucking pussy. He can't even threaten her properly and say, if you don't come home tonight, I'm filing for divorce.
No, he doesn't say that, but he doesn't have anything. You don't want to know. If you come, you don't want to know.
Yeah, and I think that's really the turn there because she's the one turning it on him.
Yeah, she stands up for herself.
She's the one saying, fuck you.
Yeah, and from then on out, she becomes a very different person.
Exactly. You were saying she's playing the role of the meek housewife. Then she turns into, okay, I'm standing up for myself because, hey, there's nothing else that I can do.
But in between, she's the fucking victim. Like, she is crying and being attacked, and you believe that she is traumatized by this.
Absolutely. And even prior to that, when she's dancing with the guy, she's having fun. She's allowing herself to have fun.
She turns it on and starts getting flirty, and she drinks a little bit, and she's enjoying a night out because she doesn't even get to do this. She doesn't get to go to a fucking bar. This guy is such a piece of shit. She doesn't go out on dates. He never takes her anywhere. She just stays at home, bored as hell.
Yeah.
Hiding a Snickers bar or something in the freezer. Like when she was on the phone with Louise, she like took a bite, put it away, took a bite, put it away. And then she takes the whole thing once she decides, fuck it, I'm going. So like that's the thrill of her life, is eating a hidden Snickers bar.
Yeah. And of course, after the incident where, they shoot a guy, she's allowed to be a little hornball because, hey, later on they meet this Brad Pitt guy. Who's he?
Very, very young, tight, ripped, beautiful Brad Pitt. Skinny and built.
He's lean.
There is a reason after this movie he became very, very famous.
You think? Because a whole lot of fucking women came to this movie and saw that man.
Horny housewives saw this movie and saw the horny housewife get it. She got it with Brad Pitt. Not like mildly, like they are thrashing about the entire hotel room.
And I would have to say one of my favorite moments is her coming out of that thing into the diner with the fucking sex hair.
Oh yeah. And she's giggling like a maniac.
Yeah.
And her hair is wild and her clothes like are not her own. I'm pretty sure that is his shirt.
Right. And Louise is finding out what actually happened and she's just, hey, bravo, good for you.
You finally got laid for real.
Right.
Like you've been with this moron who treats you like shit, who doesn't want to have kids, so they probably don't have sex very much anyway. And as I previously mentioned, he's probably also exerting that energy elsewhere. Mm-hmm. She doesn't know what it is to be with anybody else. And the first time it happens is with 28-year-old Brad Pitt. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, that scene is fantastic. But of course, he kind of sort of took all of their money.
Yeah, he lives up to the moniker of robber.
But at this point, like we previously mentioned, Gina Davis's character picks them up by their bootstraps and takes control of the situation. And she's just making insane decisions from this point out of the movie. Like, she's just, whatever has to happen, let's get it done.
Yeah.
You want to do this? Great. You want to do this? Great. I'm going to go do that? Great. And it's her idea at the end of the movie. They get to the fucking Grand Canyon. She's like, I don't want to stop. This is the most alive she has ever felt because she has not lived. Like there's that moment where they're driving down the road and she says, are you awake? Because I'm awake. I feel awake in a way I've never felt in my life.
I've never felt this awake in my life.
Yeah, she feels metaphorically awake. Her entire being, her soul, her psyche is alive.
And, running from the cops, running for your life, it kind of does that to a person.
Yeah, something has changed inside her and she refuses to go back. And she says, let's keep going. And Louise is like, are you sure? Go where? Like where? Oh, I get it. I get it. And they have this moment of, yeah, fucking A. Yeah.
What better
blaze of fucking glory.
Yeah, what better way to go out for this entire situation, running from a bunch of men trying to kill you?
Yeah. Whether it was a hail of bullets or driving your car off a cliff or whatever it is, we're going to go out the way we want to go out.
Yep.
But yeah, she is great around this whole arc. And then you've got Susan Sarandon, who is also kind of uptight at the beginning. Like she is in her little life. And they talk about how she's got sort of a shit boyfriend, Jimmy, who we don't meet until later on. And we don't really know his deal and why this guy is so bad for her. But same thing. She just wants to get away. When they go to the bar and shit goes down, the waitress says, well, yeah, she was kind of wound a little tighter. Her hair was up really tight.
Right.
And at some point, her hair comes down and she, like metaphorically also, gets pretty wild the rest of the movie. The second her hair comes down, things all change.
In a way, yeah. Because early on in the movie, when they are actually running from everybody, Michael Madsen, the boyfriend, comes to the hotel with the money. He doesn't actually wire it. He comes there with the money and she's very surprised to see him, which, hey, is understandable because you're not expecting that. But the next morning after, they do their little thing in the hotel, she cannot sleep. She is up at the crack of dawn, staring out of the door at the sunrise. And like all of the different things going through her head, I can't even imagine. Because not only did this guy just, not quite propose to you, but he gave you a ring. He came all this way with your money. He did what he was supposed to do, and he doesn't want to lose you. Now, again, she says it herself, that's not the way to get married. That's not a good reason to get married.
I thought this is what you wanted. I mean, it was, however,
right,
the
not
circumstances,
like
yeah.
Yeah, I just told you that there's something that went bad. I can't tell you what it is. I'll see you later.
Yeah, it's an interesting dynamic because, of course, you've got one of the friends wildly fucking Brad Pitt, and then the other one, she's having this like deep emotional conversation with her boyfriend who has, I don't know, commitment issues. Like they don't really elaborate exactly. But I actually really like Michael Madsen in this movie.
Yeah.
This is, again, pre-Reservoir Dogs, pre a lot of the stuff he got really famous for. And he is weirdly vulnerable in this movie.
He's playing against type. At least the type that you are used to Michael Madsen being later on in his career.
Yeah, everything I have seen him in outside of this movie, this is a standout where she even says, like, why are you suddenly saying all the right things? Because he has also had this weird epiphany where it's just like, shit, I actually really care about this woman and I don't want to lose her. And he just snaps into place. Like everything she wanted him to be, wanted him to say, suddenly he's that and she's someone else. That's what's going on here. Now
she gets a little bit more feminine, for lack of a better word, too. She kind of is vulnerable, like you said, and is allowing the possibility to enter her head maybe that, I'm actually going to go home. I'm going to follow him.
But no, I think you're reading that wrong. The way I'm reading that is she's not going to anymore. Like she might be tempted.
I think that's the thing. She's staring out of the door.
I think she has evolved past it. I think all of a sudden, this thing she wanted for so long, she doesn't want it anymore.
Yeah, and that's totally valid. But what I'm saying is when she's looking off into the sunrise, all of these different ideas are coming to her head. And I think that is where she decides, no, you really need to leave. And this is how I want you to leave.
Yeah, you go home.
Yeah.
I'm going to go to Mexico. But she never tells them they're going to Mexico. But, someone else told Brad Pitt they were going to Mexico.
Did you also hear when Harvey Keitel is talking to Brad Pitt at the cop shop, they say that Michael Madsen told them that he went to give them the money.
Well, that he went to see them? Yeah, I heard him say that.
Yeah.
And that's why he knows that this is the guy, because he's like, he met a man there and he said that he identified you out of a book of mugshots.
That's the thing, though. Michael Madsen spilled the guts about what's going on there, and he was instructed, don't say anything. But he does.
But again, I think it's because he's trying to protect her. I think he is actually genuinely concerned for her. And while she might not want him to do that, he knows that she's innocent, or at least he feels it in his bones that she should not be on the run. So he's going to tell the cops on her behalf because it's the only way the cops are going to listen. Which is why, again, Harvey Keitel keeps getting pieces of information from different people. And this is why he's actually inclined to believe the Jimmys of the world versus, the Christopher McDonalds, the Daryls.
Yeah.
Because he's an idiot. But everybody else is like, okay, these women don't deserve this. These women have had it rough. Whatever's going on, they're not bad people, and you need to know that. And so that's what Jimmy is trying to do, I think. And even in his weird way, I think, is it JD? Is that Brad Pitt's
JD,
character?
Yeah.
When he gets cornered, even he in his weird little way, I think, is trying to help their situation. Like, he even says, they're wanted for murder? Well, shit, I don't think that's right.
Right.
And he barely knows them. Everybody barely knows them, but they know them well enough to know these girls don't deserve to go down.
Well, after Keitel kind of confronts Brad Pitt about the fact that, do you think that they would have knocked over this store if you hadn't stolen all that money? Now all of these different dominoes are falling because of what you did. And if anything terrible happens, I'm going to put this on you because you caused all of these other dominoes to fall.
Yeah, she wouldn't have done it if you hadn't been there.
Yeah, they would have just maybe gotten to Mexico, or maybe they would have been caught along the way. And as soon as we got them back here, we would have sorted everything out. We might have gotten them for a minor charge, but we're not going to charge them with murder because their story is plausible.
Yeah, and you fucked that up for them. So we didn't talk about it too much, but of course, Brad Pitt. So he is a hitchhiker and a thief. He is a robber on the run from his parole officer, basically. He says, I haven't done anything recently except skip out on my parole.
Yeah, and that's where it's kind of revealed that, oh, he's not just this hot guy who is hitching a ride.
He gives this speech, shirtless and ripped as he is, about how he robbed some gas station or something.
Well, he kind of runs the gamut here. Like, okay,
Yeah.
this liquor store, this gas station, this
The different
whatever.
places that he knocked over. And he gives this speech, and Thelma pays attention because when she does it, she basically verbatim repeats his speech.
Exactly. Yeah.
She's very polite. She's like, you were so polite. Like when you're doing it, you're such a gentleman while robbing them.
Right.
And there is this single shot where right before they're about to get down and dirty, it's like dark and he's sort of lit up and he has got like 9-pack abs and that long 90s hair that he has. And I'm just like, holy shit.
Is it the scene where he's holding the hairdryer as if it's a gun?
Right after that, where we're getting like some serious female gaze where he's about to fuck this woman.
Okay, fine.
Yeah, because it's her looking at this man.
Oh, him in the moonlight.
Yeah, in the moonlight.
Okay, I know what you're talking about.
Yeah, I'm like, if that is not the fucking money shot that made this man a star. Like, he is so cute and charming, but if that
Totally.
did not put you over the edge in 1991.
Again, it launched his career. And I will say, I have actually seen that scene before, at least in parts, because I think I was watching something about Brad Pitt's career and they showed a clip of this scene where he's making his speech about how he robbed the place. And in context, it was just, hey, this was his big breakout.
Yeah, you cannot talk about his career without bringing this up because he did have some movies in the next year where it was something that he started. But this is the thing that really kicked it open for him, for everybody knowing who Brad Pitt is. But you were reading something interesting about that role, that actual character.
I'm just going to read this verbatim out of the IMDb trivia because it is fucking fascinating. It says, before Brad Pitt was cast, the role went to William Baldwin, Billy Baldwin.
Yep.
But he ended up dropping out of the role. George Clooney was rejected multiple times. Mark Ruffalo auditioned. And eventually, the role was cast to Robert Downey Jr., but the director, Ridley Scott, deemed him to be too short compared to Gina Davis. Gina Davis was the one who picked Brad Pitt for the part.
That is fucking insane.
All of these guys at this time in their careers.
The most famous one in 1991 was Robert Downey Jr.
Totally, because he got started in the 80s.
Yeah, I think he had already or was about to be nominated for Chaplin at this point. So he was already a known commodity. But he was certainly not famous to the way he is now.
Definitely not. There was one other thing here in that trivia. About 20 years after this movie came out, Gina Davis and Robert Downey Jr. were on a plane together. They sat together, and Robert Downey Jr. brought this whole thing up to Gina Davis, and she said, I don't remember you at all. But, after, working with Brad Pitt, you're not going to remember anybody else who auditioned for that part.
No, not the way this went down.
But I just thought that was a completely fascinating little tidbit.
That's fantastic. Oh, the things that could have been for some of those guys.
But you know what? All of them have had fantastic careers.
I don't think I've ever seen Mark Ruffalo early 90s. The earliest thing I can think of him in is still like late 90s, early 2000s.
Mine is about 2005 when he was in Collateral.
The first thing I think I saw him in was You Can Count on Me with Laura Linney. They play brother and sister. It's a really good movie, and I'm kind of surprised you and I haven't watched it together because I think you'd probably really like it. But yeah, that's kind of the cast of this movie. There's some other familiar faces, but not any like people who went on to be super famous. It is just interesting to see like Harvey Keitel and Michael Madsen in a movie a year before Reservoir Dogs.
Totally.
It is also interesting that those guys and Brad Pitt all ended up working with Quentin Tarantino in their careers. So there's some interesting little through lines. And of course, the other people we haven't spoken about yet are, number one, the director, who is Ridley Scott, and returning champion, composer Hans Zimmer. I feel like this guy has had such a wacky fucking career because every time he comes up, it is in the most unsuspecting movie for me. Like, I didn't know he scored this.
No, but I will say there isn't that much score to the movie. It is a lot of licensed music.
There is plenty of like moody score. It's like that dark sort of chase
it's kind
music.
Kind of the Western motif as well.
Meow,
Yeah, so
that shit.
Yeah, I totally get that. But yeah, Hans Zimmer coming back yet again.
That man can't be stopped. Like, I have absolutely no comprehension of the breadth of his career because I'm surprised every time I see his name.
Speaking of music in this movie, I wanted to point out here, there was a song that was being played while both ladies were getting packed and ready to go at the beginning of the movie. Mm-hmm. There is a cover of the Bob Seger song Wild Night, but it's being performed by ladies. It's a lady group.
Yeah.
It was really good.
The songs in this are really interesting. I would be curious to see what actually ended up on the soundtrack because throughout, I kept going, yeah, this is a good song. That's a good song.
There's a lot, like, it's very themed because most of the songs are kind of like, hey, we're not looking back, or it's very much, hey, this is a road trip kind of a song.
And through the lens of where we are. So they're kind of all country twinged in some cases.
Yeah. But as long as we're talking about country music, Betsy, do you remember the 90s? And
yeah. Hey, remember the 90s?
Specifically, line dancing.
Oh my God.
We had to learn how to line dance in school in the 90s, in elementary school.
I don't know if I did or not.
Really?
I feel like I maybe learned to square dance in grade school.
I mean, what's really the difference? It's the country western kind of dancing that was happening a lot of the 90s.
Yeah, I don't remember learning to line dance, but I have some memory of dancing in a square.
Yeah, I also remember, this is very much dating us, but hey, whatever. We also learned the Macarena dance when that was brand new. All of this is in gym class, by the way.
No, Trent, I learned the Macarena from a newspaper infographic old. That's how I learned. It was like the fucking cover story of the local paper, how to do the Macarena.
Fine, but still, we had to learn it. Maybe you didn't learn it in school. I had to learn it in school.
Nope, I learned it from the newspaper.
I also learned,
as you did in those days.
I also learned the Kylie Minogue song Locomotion dance at around the same time, back when, every song had to have a dance craze.
Well, and I hate to burst your bubble, Trent, but that is a cover. so that was already a dance in the 60s.
I don't care, but we learned it in grade school.
Okay, fine. Well, Trent, do you have any other thoughts, anything we haven't brought up yet about Thelma and Louise?
The only thing I wanted to mention, because we mention it every time, at least every time that we cover a movie from this era, is all the smoking. Yeah, in the car, in the bars, in the diners, in the back, in the kitchen of those diners. Wow.
It is very early 90s, this movie. Like the scene at the bar where Louise goes to the bathroom and there's like 12 women crowded around the mirror and just
all
like
the
this
hair.
Single snapshot of all of their hair, like the big crimped hair and the giant bangs, and just wow.
Yeah, and this is very much in, hey, this is what like the country western looks were, because there's all that denim in there, all the crimped stuff in Arkansas. Yeah.
Trent, I could probably draw a through line for you to another movie that we watched earlier this year. Do you think that this movie inspired Drive Away Dolls?
Oh, man.
We didn't cover it for the podcast, but we watched it, and I couldn't help but thinking that
not for this podcast
that
anyway.
the fact that movie is also taking place in the early 90s, and it is also the Margaret Qualley character is dressed suspiciously like some of the characters in this movie.
A couple of ladies.
2 women driving around.
She's from Texas.
They're kind of on the run.
Yep. For a very, very fun reason. Go check out the Movie Friends episode. Check those guys out. We covered that back in I think February.
Yeah.
That was a fun one.
Yeah, I was just thinking about that. So I don't know if now that you've seen both, you should revisit Drive Away Dolls and tell me I'm wrong.
I think you're onto something there. But no, I really like this one. It's a great start to our series about, ladies in movies, starring and directing and writing. This was written by a woman.
Who won an Oscar for it. So, hey, good on you. But yeah, I had a really great time. It was really fun. And I really appreciate a really fun movie like this, where I can cheer without any kind of reservations for the protagonist. Absolutely. But that, I think, is going to do it for Thelma and Louise. So we would love to hear from you. What do you think about this movie? Send us your thoughts, neverseenitpod@gmail.com. We did get an email from Blake about our recent episode about the French Connection. And this is a little bit long, and we're going to get through it together. So first of all, he titles it La Connexion Française because he's fancy. He begins, had a blast listening to your episode on the French Connection. I first saw it decades ago, and at the time it felt like a, quote, big movie I needed to check off my list, and I thought it was fine.
Hey, so did we.
Last year, the Criterion Channel added it to their programming, and I threw it on one Saturday night and had a blast with it. The highlight for me was the sequence with Popeye and the bad guy in the metro and the game of cat and mouse of getting on and off the train. It's simply superb.
It's a very iconic scene. That is probably the one that sticks out to me the most, other than the car chase.
And yeah, it sounds like he had the experience with that movie that I kind of had with Thelma and Louise, where it's like, yeah, it was fine, but this time I enjoyed it a lot more.
Sure.
Sometimes that just happens. He continues, Friedkin, meaning the director William Friedkin, came from the world of documentary filmmaking and brought a lot of those techniques to his movies in the late 60s and early 70s. It's why everything feels so immediate and of the moment. The camera never stops moving and everything feels nervy. For me, it's what makes the movie feel alive. It has that grimy, pulsating 1970s New York City street life.
Yeah, and a lot of the scenes are also very long, where in modern movies, the director and editors tend to cut a lot faster and more frequently.
Most directors do not like long takes.
Yeah, it's a lot harder for them to do, for one. But like you said about being from a documentary background, I can see how that is kind of translating here, because all you're doing is just witnessing what is happening, the techniques of police work.
You're capturing life.
Yeah.
And I could see how that makes it a really interesting transition to do a realistic type of movie. Because, I keep going back to over on our Patreon page, patreon.com/neverseenapod. We just covered Ben-Hur, and it's so staged and so like, I know I'm in a movie the way they are acting. That is not what's going on in The French Connection. It's like, you might not have any clue there is a camera pointed at you, but you are in character because you might be rolling. That's the way he filmed this movie. Blake continues, you guys brought up that Friedkin and Hackman didn't get along. Friedkin earned the nickname Hurricane Billy in Hollywood during this time because of his demeanor with talent and studio heads. Putting it simply, the man didn't give a fuck about how he had to get things done. He just got them done. Reminds me a little of Popeye Doyle, just without the racism and nonchalant murdering. I can't remember if you guys brought this up in your Exorcist episode, but he was shooting one sequence with a real-life priest, and he wasn't getting the performance he wanted out of the first-time acting priest. So he asked the priest if he trusted him. When the priest replied yes, Friedkin slapped him across the face and told the priest to do the scene again, and he got the performance he wanted. Hurricane Billy, indeed.
Yeah, you can't get away with that shit these days.
Oh, you would get so sued. While the car chase in The French Connection is fantastic, it isn't the only movie he's done that's reached all-timer status. A few years later, he would direct a movie called Sorcerer, which has Roy Scheider and some guys driving nitroglycerin in huge trucks across the South American jungle. It's nerve-wracking stuff.
Jesus.
I've never heard of this movie.
No.
But I'm down. I'm here for it. A few years after that, he would direct a movie called To Live and Die in L.A., which, for my money, is the greatest ever car chase in movies.
I've heard of this movie.
I've heard of this movie too, but I don't know anything about it.
No.
But Blake says, it's simply exhilarating. He did another movie in the 90s called Jade, which isn't good, but has a really fascinating car chase through San Francisco that I wouldn't dare ruin here. I'll just say, not all car chases go fast. Interesting.
All right.
I've heard of Jade as well. I've also heard it's not good. And in the early 2000s, he made a movie called The Hunted, which climaxes with Tommy Lee Jones chasing Benicio del Toro through Portland, first via car, then by foot. Again, it's exhilarating. Sorry for the long message, but Friedkin is one of my absolute favorite filmmakers, and I never miss an opportunity to try and turn others onto some of his lesser-known works in his filmography. Hope all is well. Keep up the great work. P.S. Trent invented a cool band name, Blood Baguette.
Blood Baguette. Not to ruin anything from the movie, but yes, that is a great band name.
There is a Blood Baguette. That's all you need to know.
Yeah, and I think you're saying that you've seen a lot of that director's movies, and because we've only ever seen the one, I guess two now. Now two with The Exorcist. You get to know some of these directors' tropes, and I don't pay that close attention to a lot of directors because we hop around in movies a lot, and you can't even say with a guy that is as prolific as a guy like Spielberg or Scorsese, it's kind of hard unless you really, really study them to get their tropes.
To get their style. They're really specific. They do this in every single movie.
Or it could even be like camera tricks, or I always have to throw in this one little thing.
Yeah, they're not as in your face as somebody like Quentin Tarantino, who it's like, okay.
Or like Brockheimer. Like, yeah. Brockheimer's like, he's got this reputation about big fucking explosions.
Yeah.
Those are easy to pick out, but some of the more subtle ones, like, hey, if this guy really likes car chases and he knows how to do them, that's great. I might actually go and watch more of these movies.
And if your thing is gritty realism,
sure.
Yeah, a documentary filmmaker, that makes sense.
It's a good pedigree.
And it's also not a leap most of those kinds of people make. Like, if you're making documentaries, I don't think those people inherently know how to make the leap to scripted movies.
the person that I'm kind of thinking about here that kind of does both is Ron Howard, because he came from, like, he's lived in Hollywood basically his entire life.
Born in not basically. He was born into it. His dad was an actor.
Oh, I didn't know that.
He started as a child actor. He has lived this every day of his life.
But that's my thing. He's done everything. He's done directing, he's done acting, he's done documentary stuff, everything. I don't think that he has any kind of like thing that Ron Howard is known for, but he's done a lot of different types of movies.
He's got an interesting filmography. We were talking about Ron Howard a few months ago, and
Totally.
I said, you know, for my money, if you look at the stuff he made from like the 80s to the early mid 2000s at least, there is a lot of variety there. And there is some really interesting choices that he made. Alas, he's kind of stopped making so many movies because number one, he doesn't have to. And number two, the ones he's made have not been fantastic recently.
No,
but
it's definitely fallen off for sure.
But there is a really interesting stretch of movies that when you look at them all back to back, you're like, the same fucking guy made these movies? That's kind of what I think of when I think of like Ridley Scott going back to Thelma and Louise.
Yeah.
He's kind of the same thing where it's just like, wait, he made this movie and he made that movie?
Right.
And he made this other fucking movie?
Yeah, he got known for being the sci-fi guy, and he's really not just the sci-fi guy.
No, let's make a feminist Western outlaw movie. Let's make Gladiator. Let's make The Last Duel. Like, those are all very different movies this man has made. So it is interesting to hear more about William Friedkin, who we've only seen a few of his things, but I've seen enough that I'm like, okay, you've wet my whistle. I'm intrigued. I would definitely, like, especially like To Live and Die in LA. I've definitely heard of that movie.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know why. I've probably heard it's good. And that's why somewhere in the back of my brain, it's like, you should put a little pin in that.
It's also a good title.
It is.
Good titles tend to stick with you.
Yeah. So maybe we'll have to get around to watching some more of those. So thank you, Blake.
Yeah, thanks.
We will heed your advice one way or another, and we'll try to explore more of that filmography. So if you listeners would like to be like Blake, that email again, neverseeitpod@gmail.com.
Help trigger some of these conversations we have at the end of these episodes.
We love these. You can also send us a message on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, Blue Sky, whatever you use. Like, we're on all of those things.
We know you're on social media. Don't hide.
See you. You're there too. But yeah, send us a message on there. Comment on our posts. However you want to reach out to us, do that because we are very interested and we want to talk about them. We want to talk to you about movies. That's kind of why we're here. We like to have conversations, not just to each other. We want to talk to you about movies.
We talk to each other all the fucking
Gross.
time.
Ew.
We live together. We're married.
I like that is our thing. We're married. Ew. Another way you can help support the show, of course, is to go to anywhere that you're listening to podcasts, give us a review, rate us 5 stars. Also, if you're not sick of hearing us talk over here on the regular show, we have 4 more shows, guys. Over on our Patreon page, patreon.com/neverseenitpod, you can hear us talk about some movies that we really love, a Never Seen It movie club. You can listen to Trent rue the day we got married because I continue to make him watch rom-coms and romances on Real Love. We are just about to finish up our 2nd box set. We're doing the Magic Mike trilogy, and it is fucking fun, you guys. I haven't seen the 3rd one. Neither has Trent. This is going to be the big finale in June.
Also, in Real Love, we're going to be doing a really big fucking heavy hitter. We're going to watch The Notebook. I've never seen that movie.
Yeah. And of course, the final show we do over there is the Wayback Machine, which is in effect a randomizer. We do not know what year we will be sent to. We do not know what movie we're going to watch. And Trent hates above so many things to not be in control of his own destiny.
But I'm kind of intrigued by this next one we're going to be covering. We're covering The Omen.
Yeah.
Which, hey, we don't do a lot of those kinds of movies for our main show, so check us out over on Patreon. We didn't mention the movie club episode. We're doing Margin Call.
Yeah. So all of that, patreon.com/neverseenitpod, $5 a month. It is a whole lot of fun. And if you enjoyed this episode, you will definitely enjoy the stuff that we're doing over there on Patreon.
Hell yeah.
But that is going to be the end of this episode. But it is just the beginning of June. We have so many more female-led movies. And next week is no exception, where we are watching kind of a newer one. This came out last year, I think.
Yeah, I think it came out last year.
Starring some up-and-coming actors. So we went from established Thelma and Louise, Susan Sarandon, and Gina Davis to some up-and-comers who are taking the world by storm. We are going to be watching Bottoms.
Bottoms.
Bottoms?
Bottoms.
So until that time, my name is Betsy.
My name is Trent.
And we will see you next week.